Look, y'all, everybody watching, nobody thinking. It's nonstop news, nonstop social media. Everybody's reacting. Nobody's slowing down to ask what they're not saying. Let's talk about it. One of the other things is pretty interesting. Speaking of people working, everybody named Mama starting a business, man. I mean, every time I turn around, somebody else say, "Hey, man, I'm starting a business," but ain't nobody building assets, and it's pretty interesting because it's like you can go out, you can ask any group of people that you're around right now or whenever, "Hey, do you have a business?" "Yeah, I got an LLC." "What kind of business is it?" "I really haven't put anything in the flight yet," but it's one of those things where, um, I'm gonna make some stuff happen in the near future. Entrepreneurship culture is running super rampant right now. Everybody's selling something, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, you got all these people creating businesses, but nobody's creating systems, and the business is not going to automatically equal wealth. It don't matter how much you want that to be true. It's never going to happen, y'all. And you got to put systems into place in order to start to build that thing that we all call in wealth. Because the truth of the matter is that if you build a business, if you go start a business today, and when you go start that business, if you don't do nothing at all, nothing's gonna transpire at all. And although I do understand the fears that people have about the business failing, they getting something wrong for whatever reason, I get all of that, but you fail when you don't even attempt to make anything happen. And that's the part that becomes very scary because you hear people say, "Hey, man, yeah, I got a job. I'm working at my job. I started a small business. I do this on the side, and that's what I'm doing currently today." So okay, well, what is it that you're doing on the side, man? I got a clothing line, man. I got T-shirts, I got hoodies, I got hats, and I do these different things. Okay, how much time are you spending in that business? Well, after I get off work, I'll spend an hour here, a couple hours there. Y'all, that business is it's gonna be extremely difficult to get that business off the ground. Because when you're building a business, y'all, again, you're putting processes and systems into place to where you want this machine that you're creating to be able to run kind of almost without you. Well, you have to give bare, like you don't have to give as much of your energy um, to it in a way. When I say your energy, I mean your time. What do I mean by that? When you start a business, yes, you're gonna be working. You ain't got no choice. When you start putting processes and systems into place, those things that you're putting into place is to give you time back so you can keep creating. And that's just what it is. And most people they run away from that portion of the conversation because they like the idea of saying, "Hey, yeah, I own a business," but they don't like not even the idea of actually doing the actual work. And the way the world is turning, with all of these different things happening, technology is continuing to evolve. Man, at some point, man, everybody gonna have to own a business because if you don't, you really ain't gonna have no work. You're gonna have to put yourself in a position where you're giving yourself work. And it's gonna be better to give yourself work today versus trying to give yourself work in the future when it's overly saturated. Um, because the real thing is that people are really talking about being afraid of competition. They don't say it out loud, but that's really what they're saying. And the competition is only at the ground level for the most part because the truth of the matter is when you put processes and systems into place and you start building your business the correct way, the right business structure, the right tax structure, hell, the right trust structure, you start to put yourself in that position where you can collaborate with other business owners, right, and do different things to make things happen, right, versus all of this competition that people say that is out there, because it's just more around how comfortable are people today. That's really what it's about. You start to think about like I go back to creators, right? When you go back to the creators, their economy is shifting big time. Because social media has changed so much. It's really not even social media no more. It's interest media. So literally, what you're interested in is really the thing currently today on what we used to call social media. So When people are thinking that, hey man, the algorithm shift on me, man, so this is bad right now. No, it exposed you. Look, y'all, I'm only scratching the surface over here. I go deeper on the full episode. It's on Zabo 103 TV. Head over there to Zabo103TV.com. Check it out now.